The 90s weren't supposed to be the decade of the ballad. Grunge was loud. Hip-hop was rewriting everything. Pop was getting stranger by the minute. And yet, the songs that lasted weren't the loud ones. They were the quiet ones. The slow ones. The ones that started with a single piano note and left you completely undone. 10 songs, 10 stories, and at least one truth behind each of them that most people never knew. Let's go.
I see you, I feel you.
Number 10, Unbreak My Heart, Toni Braxton, 1996. Picture a recording studio in Los Angeles, late 1996. A producer slides a demo across the table to one of the most powerful voices in R&B. She listens, she shrugs, she almost passes on it entirely. That song was Unbreak My Heart. Toni Braxton has been remarkably candid over the years about her initial ambivalence toward the track. It felt too dramatic, too theatrical, almost operatic in its grief, and she wasn't wrong. But that's exactly what made it land, like a freight train on an unsuspecting world. Written by Diane Warren, who we will be visiting again in this countdown. Because the woman is basically the architect of 90s heartbreak. Unbreak My Heart spent 11 weeks at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. 11 weeks, that's not a hit, that's a residency. The song is built on a paradox. The chorus asks for something literally impossible, to undo what's been done. And yet every single person who's ever lost something they loved understood exactly what she meant. Because grief doesn't speak in logic.
Bring back those nights when I held you beside me.
It speaks in Unbreak My Heart. The twist? Braxton won the Grammy for Best Female Pop Vocal Performance for this song. Then almost immediately after, she filed for bankruptcy. The decade that made her the most recognizable ballad voice in America was also quietly destroying her financially. The voice that taught a generation how to cry in public was privately falling apart, which makes every note of this song hit just a little differently now. Speaking of songs that hid something much darker underneath the surface, Number 9, Tears in Heaven, Eric Clapton, 1992. Here is the thing about great art. Sometimes it comes from the most unbearable places. In 1991, Eric Clapton's 4-year-old son, Connor, fell from a window of a New York City apartment building. He was gone before anyone could do anything. Clapton, already a man who had survived addiction and loss and a lifetime of reinvention, was now asked to survive the unimaginable. Tears in Heaven was written in the aftermath of that loss. Co-written with Will Jennings, it was recorded for the soundtrack of the film Rush and released in early 1992. It won 3 Grammy Awards, including Record of the Year and Song of the Year. But here's what gets overlooked in the statistics. The song is written as a conversation with his son, a father wondering, if we meet again on the other side, will you still know who I am? Will you still say my name? It is among the most quietly devastating questions ever put to music. No rage, no melodrama. Just a man standing at the edge of something he cannot comprehend, speaking softly into it. Clapton later said he could no longer perform the song, that the grief had transformed over the years, and playing it reopened wounds he needed to let close. He removed it from his set lists for years. Some songs are written to be heard by millions. This one was written to be heard by one person who could no longer hear anything at all. We'll take a breath, and then we keep going. Number 8, I'll Make Love to You, Boys I Men, 1994.
Why don't I show you how this works? Push this button.
Let's shift the temperature in the room, 1994. A 4-man group from Philadelphia has already proven they can make grown adults weep with End of the Road. Now they're back, and this time they want to set the mood. Not break your heart, just rearrange your entire nervous system. I'll Make Love to You spent 14 consecutive weeks at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100.
All right? Thank you. Yeah.
14. It knocked their own previous record off the top spot. Boys II Men essentially dethroned themselves. What people forget is how precise the craft is underneath all that velvet. The production, handled by Babyface, another architect will keep circling, is deliberately restrained, almost sparse.
Hey, if you ever need me, for the system that is, just
Because Babyface understood something fundamental. When the vocal is that strong, the music's job is simply to stay out of the way. The song is not complicated: a man, a woman, a promise, a night. But the reason it worked, the reasons it still works, is that it treated romance as something sacred rather than transactional. In an era increasingly defined by ironic detachment, Boyz II Men had the audacity to mean every single word, and audiences rewarded them for it with 4 months of total chart domination. The irony? The song was reportedly written and recorded in a single day, 14 weeks at number 1. One day in the studio. Do the math on that return on investment. From a night of romance to a morning of reckoning, our next entry is a song that somehow made the apocalypse sound beautiful. Number 7. Everybody Hurts, REM, 1993. Michael Stipe has always been an unusual kind of rock star, elliptical, strange, more interested in texture and implication than in confession, which makes what he did with Everybody Hurts so remarkable, because Everybody Hurts is the most direct, plain-spoken thing REM ever recorded. Released in 1993 from the album Automatic for the People, it was written specifically, deliberately, as a message to teenagers in crisis. Drummer Bill Berry has talked about how the song came from a genuine concern about youth suicide rates. The band wanted to make something that functioned less like art and more like a phone call from a friend at 2 in the morning. The music video, cars frozen on a highway overpass, people sitting alone inside them, subtitles revealing their private thoughts, is one of the most quietly stunning pieces of visual storytelling from that entire decade. The song didn't top charts the way some entries on this list did. It didn't need to. It spread the way a rumor spreads. Person to person, mixtape to mixtape, the friend who burned it for the friend who needed it most. Over 30 years later, it is still one of the most played songs in crisis support contexts. Organizations still cite it, counselors still reference it. That's not a pop song, that's infrastructure. And it came from a band that most people associated with the words, "It's the end of the world as we know it," which proves once again that artists will always surprise you when it matters most. 'Cause everybody hurts. Number 6. My Heart Will Go On, Celine Dion, 1997. You knew it was coming. Don't pretend otherwise. But here is what you might not know. James Horner composed the music for Titanic without James Cameron's knowledge or approval. Cameron had explicitly told him he didn't want a song with lyrics over the end credits. He wanted the film to breathe, to end on silence and image. Horner went and wrote one anyway. He enlisted Will Jennings. Yes, the same Will Jennings from Tears in Heaven, to write lyrics. Then he quietly arranged a session with Celine Dion. They recorded it essentially in secret. Then Horner played it for Cameron, when he thought the director was in a vulnerable enough mood to hear it with an open mind. Cameron wept. The song stayed. My Heart Will Go On became one of the best-selling physical singles in history. Celine Dion has said she actually didn't love the song initially and nearly declined to record it. She worried it was too sentimental, too on the nose. She recorded it in a single take, one take. The version you have heard 10,000 times. The version that made you feel the icy Atlantic and the sheer terrifying scale of love and loss. That was take 1. The ship sank, the song floated, and somewhere, James Cameron is still probably complicated about the fact that the most famous thing attached to his most famous film is the thing he explicitly said he didn't want. Love can touch us one time. We're halfway through, and before we get to the top 5, the ones that will genuinely cost you something emotionally, we want to say something. At Retrovibes, this is what we do. We don't just play old songs. We dig into the stories behind them. The accidental recordings, the songs that almost never existed. The artists who were falling apart while making the thing that held everyone else together. If that's the kind of storytelling you want more of, subscribe to Retrovibes, hit the bell, because these stories deserve to be remembered, and we intend to keep telling them now. Top 5. Brace yourself. Love was when I Number 5, Nothing Compares to You, Sinead O'Connor, 1990. The song was written by Prince in 1985. His group The Family recorded it first. It existed for 5 years without anyone really noticing. Then Sinead O'Connor got hold of it. The music video is almost nothing. A close-up of her face shot in a Paris garden for most of its duration. No choreography, no spectacle, no distraction. Just a shaved head, enormous eyes, and a voice that sounds like it's transmitting directly from the open wound of human grief. About 2 minutes and 40 seconds in, real tears fall down her face, not staged, not rehearsed. She was thinking, she later said, about her mother, who had died years before, and whose loss never really left her. The cameras kept rolling, the director kept it in. That unplanned moment is one of the most watched seconds in music video history. The song hit number 1 in 17 countries. It was inescapable in 1990. And O'Connor, who was already considered provocative and difficult by an industry that didn't know what to do with women who refused its terms, became simultaneously its biggest star and its most defiant critic. What the decade gave her with one hand, it systematically took with the other. Her story is not a comfortable one, but the song remains perfect. Proof that sometimes the most powerful thing a camera can do is simply not look away. Number 4, One Sweet Day, Mariah Carey, Boys I Men, 16 weeks. 16 consecutive weeks at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. From December 1995 into the spring of 1996, that record stood untouched for 23 years. Let that sit with you, 23 years. Until Old Town Road finally caught it in 2019. One Sweet Day was 2 separate songs that became one. Mariah Carey had written a tribute to a friend and creative collaborator, Andre Fisher, who had died. Boys II Men had separately written their own tribute to a recently deceased friend and colleague. When they discovered the parallel grief, they merged the songs. What was born was not a duet in the conventional sense. It was 2 acts of mourning harmonized. The production is warm but aching. The voices, Mariah at the absolute peak of her 5-octave instrument, Boys II Men in their immaculate 4-part architecture, don't compete. They console each other. And here's the thing about that record. 16 weeks isn't just a chart statistic. It means that for nearly 4 months, whenever Americans turned on the radio, the number 1 song in the country was about the impossibility of saying goodbye to someone who is gone. An entire nation processing loss together without quite realizing that's what it was doing. Music has always done that. The 90s just happened to do it at scale. Number 3, 1993. This one sneaks up on you. It doesn't announce itself the way some of the larger entries on this list do. No sweeping production, no gospel choir, no cinematic key change, just a lute-like guitar, a voice that sounds like it's addressing someone who might not be listening anymore, and lyrics drawn from an image, a woman among barley fields in the amber light of late afternoon, that somehow contains an entire lifetime of love and impermanence. Sting wrote Fields of Gold in a single morning, he has said. The image arrived fully formed, the song wrote itself. It became one of the most covered songs of the entire decade. Eva Cassidy's version, recorded before her death in 1996 and released posthumously, is considered by many to be even more devastating than the original. An artist whose life was cut short, singing a song about the brevity of moments we think will last forever. The layers of meaning are almost unbearable. What makes Fields of Gold permanently lodged in the cultural memory isn't grandeur, it's specificity, the barley, the sun, the promise to remember. Not I will love you forever, which is a vow, but I'll remember you, which is a mercy, because love can end. Memory is the thing that doesn't have to. In a decade full of enormous stadium-sized feelings, this song whispered, and somehow you heard every word. Number 2. Iris, Goo Goo Dolls 1998. It was written for a movie about an angel who gives up immortality for a woman he cannot have. City of Angels, Nicolas Cage. A film that divided critics and destroyed audiences who were not prepared for its ending. John Resnick wrote Iris in a rented house, reportedly in a creative state that he later described as almost dissociative, the song arriving from somewhere he couldn't entirely explain. The guitar is tuned unconventionally. The structure breaks what pop music typically asks of songs. There is no real guitar solo. The bridge does something that shouldn't work and absolutely does. Iris spent nearly a year on the Billboard charts, 18 weeks at number 1 on the Hot 100 airplay chart. It was nominated for a Grammy. It lost. That loss is still discussed as one of the more confounding decisions in Grammy history. But here's what the Grammy didn't understand and the audience did. I don't want the world to see me. Because I don't think that they'd understand. That line landed differently in 1998. The internet was nascent, social media didn't exist, and yet somehow, a generation on the edge of radical exposure, a generation that was about to become permanently, exhaustingly visible to each other. Heard that lyric and recognized something about themselves they hadn't found words for yet. Iris was a love song. It was also accidentally a prophecy. The angel gave up forever. Resnick gave up conventional tuning. Both got something extraordinary in return. Number 1. I Will Always Love You, Whitney Houston 1992. Years later, we're still here, still listening, still remembering, still unable to let them go. Some music doesn't age, it just keeps being true.